Another type of collection is the dictionary. And dictionary collections are common in most languages. They work on a key-value pair system in which each entry in the dictionary has a key, and that key is unique amongst all entries, so it cannot be duplicated. We can't have two keys that are the same. But when we select the key sort of as our index representing the dictionary, we get the value. So as an example here, I can dim parts as new dictionary, and then in parentheses specify of and the key data type, and then the value data type with a comma separating those. So in this case, I'm setting up a dictionary where the keys are integers and the values are strings. In the form load then, I add to the parts dictionary 7 entries. And each one of those I'm providing an integer and the string. And then the 7 buttons that are numbered here in this interface, 1 through 7, I'm going to get the text value of those buttons and convert that to an integer and put that into a variable called IDX. And then my label at the bottom where you see it says part name is LBL part name.text equals, and I'm doing a string interpolation of the index number, a dash, and then the value coming from the parts dictionary by looking up that particular key. So if we run this, there's part 1, part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Real quickly, let's take a look at the code. The principal parts of the interface are the 7 buttons that are named BTN1, BTN2, and so forth through to BTN7, and then this label of LBL part name. In the code, I have my parts dictionary of type integer, comma string. In the form load, I'm going to populate that. Normally, we'd probably do this with a text file that we read in, and I'll show that in the next example. And then to show the part, I'm going to get the integer value of the text and use that to look up the string value using the integer as the key for our dictionary. And then this code here just simply sets all the buttons back color to white and then sets the current button to yellow, just to highlight that button. In this example, I've set up a dictionary with a key of string and a value of string, and I've read in a text file that has an English word of an animal and the Spanish equivalent of that animal, comma separated. And in the list box, I simply put the English word, and when I click on the English word, it will go to the dictionary and pull up the Spanish equivalent. Here's the project source. I have a list box named LST English and a label called LBL Spanish. The code then is I have dimmed animals as a new dictionary of string, comma string. In my form load, I am reading via the stream reader the data file that exists in the Windows folder along with the executable, and simply reads each line and separates them by the comma and provides the dictionary the key and the value. Close that file, and then for the list box, we change the selected index. I'm going to get the selected item, put that into key, and then use lblspanish.text equals animals element key. In this third example, I wanted to demonstrate that the value of a dictionary isn't limited to our base data types of string, integer, double, and so forth. We can use a class data type or structure data type. So in this case, I have a data file that I created in Excel of a stock ticker symbol, the company name or corporation, the opening price back in January of 2024, the current price here in November 2024, and a description of what the company does. From Excel, I exported that as a text file that is tab delimited, and when I open my application in the form load, I read that data in. And in doing so, I'm creating a dictionary called ticker dict as new dictionary, and the key is going to be a string, but the value is going to be the stock, and I'll show you the code here in a little bit. So stock is a class that I created. In the list box, when I click on a ticker, that's a string, I'm going to look up that stock based on the ticker symbol from the dictionary. And then I'm going to populate my different labels here. So lblticker.text equals abc.ticker, and lblcorporation.text equals abc.corporation, and so forth. And so I can click on the different tickers and see the values. And if something is negative, such as NVIDIA, then it shows up in red. And we probably all should have invested in Taiwan Semiconductor this year because it grew by 128%. Let's jump over the code. In the interface, I have a list box called LST Stocks, a label, LBL Ticker, LBL Corporation, LBL Open, LBL Close, LBL Percent, LBL Gain, and then an LBL Description. Very simple interface. Let's jump over to the code. So I created a stock class within my Form 1 class. So you can create multiple classes in the same file, just separate them. So I have an end class for my Form 1, and then I have a public class stock and an end class for that. And here are my properties. So I have the 5 properties coming from that data file: ticker, corporation, open price, close price, and description. Open price and close price are double values. And then my 2 calculated properties of percent change and increase per share. The constructor, I'm passing those 5 values for the first 5 properties and populating those properties, and then my percent change is equal to the closing price divided by the opening price minus 1. That'll give me a percent change, and then the increase per share is simply the closing price minus the open price. And by calculating those here in the constructor makes it really easy then to use those values in the form. No calculations are needed. Let's scroll up here to the form. So in the form, I created that dictionary of string and stock. And then in form load, I am reading that data in. And as I'm doing that, I am creating a new stock called my stock with those 5 values after I separated them by the tabs, split by the tabs. And then my ticker dictionary.add is going to be XYZ element 0. That's the first field of that tab delimited record. And then the stock, my stock. And then I'm adding the ticker XYZ element 0 to the list box. That populates the list box. That sets up the stocks in the dictionary. And then when I click the item in the list box, I'm going to set ABC as stock equals ticker dict LST stocks. That's selected items. I'm getting the selected item. That's going to be the name of the ticker or the text of the ticker. And then I'm simply saying LBL ticker.text equals that stock.ticker and the .corporation, .open price, and so forth, populating all those values. And then I have 2 ternary statements here that look at whether the percentage change and the capital gains is positive or negative and sets the colors of those 2 labels. I also have a function that I'm using on the description called strip quotes. Some of those descriptions, when I export it out as a tab limited file, if they had a comma in the text, it puts it in quotes. And I want to strip those quotes out. So I wrote a little function here called strip quotes. It simply looks at if the first character is a quote, we're going to get rid of it. And if the last character is a quote, we can get rid of it. And I did it so there could be multiple quotes. Sometimes that happens. If you rewrite the data back out and you haven't stripped the quotes out before, you might get double quotes or triple quotes. I hope with these 3 examples you have a basic understanding of how to use dictionaries as a data collection. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.